views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program host and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by TCNTV Network Incorporated. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. The TCNTV Network claims no rights to the said content. TCNTV Network cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. TCNTV Network is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this program.
Welcome everybody. So that's why I forgot to get a glass of water. Welcome everybody. So here to help you. As you can see, I am by myself again. Dave isn't sick today, but actually Selena is not in the building. Selena's our production manager. She is not in the building today. So my co-host is hiding behind the scenes where he probably prefers to be, but that doesn't help me none tall. Welcome, everybody, to Here to Help You. I am your host, Simone Jennifer Smith. You see how blank that is, Dave? You can't say alongside. There's nothing. Just me. Terrible. So today, you know what? Since we're on this was the problem today. The problem was I have no co-host. So I had to go through a whole bunch of problem solving to figure out exactly what I was going to even do today. So today I decided that I am going to talk about the one thing that many of us have no idea how to do, and even sometimes the great ones like myself can sometimes have problems and completely fall apart. So today we're doing problem solving. We're going to look at what problem solving is. We're going to understand, if you have switched camera, I'm trying to keep up, brethren. I'm trying to keep up with you. See, I have a lot of problems, but we're going to have solutions for them all. So let's first of all talk about what. Are you doing something? Someone else is inside here today. I don't know. Did he bring me? Service with a smile. Look at my. Speaking of which, guys, we're going to be talking about some exciting stuff happening with MyTCNTV network. We'll wait till a little bit at the end to talk about that. But thank you. Got my water. I'm good to go. Okay, so problem solving. So Dave, I'm hoping you'll be able to keep up with some of the stuff I got because I have some great information. Please feel free, Dave, to leave some of the stuff up there, especially the stuff that has a lot of content on it so that people can read that and take what they need to from it as they're hearing my voice. So you use problem solving when you want to reach a certain goal. So there's different types of problems. I think I have a slide on that, different types of problems. When you want to reach a certain goal, but the solution is not immediately obvious because obstacles are blocking you. So every problem has 3 features. Did you find that for me, Dave? It's called different types of problems. It's a picture that says different types of problems. Did I get that to you? Okay, so there's 3 features to a problem. There's the initial state, there's the goal state, and then there's the obstacle, of course. So let's think about an example. So tell me you have the picture of the bus. Please pull it up so people can get into the scenario. Okay, all right. So suppose you want to go shopping in a nearby town, and the initial state describes the situation at the very beginning of the problem. So in this case, you have no access to public transportation. Okay? I'm in a room, I'm 10 miles from the town with no car and no accessible public transportation. How am I supposed to get there? My goal state is reached when I actually solve that problem and get to the store. Okay? So the obstacle describes the restrictions that make it difficult in order for you to proceed and get to that goal state. So thinking requires you to go beyond the information that you're actually already given in order to have a goal or solution in mind. So this is where thinking, and they say creative thinking, divergent thinking, all of those things are ways in which we can problem solve. So one big thing with problem solving is paying attention to the problem. I'm going to read something out to you. And actually, I'm not going to tell you the answer till we come back. I have some fun stuff that I'm going to do today. I have a whole bunch of different problems that I'm going to be showing at the end of each segment. And then at the beginning of the new segment, the solution will be there. So this will be a good way for you guys kind of to see how quick you are at solving problems. But I'm going to give you guys one right now. It's called paying attention during problem solving. So suppose you are a bus driver. On the first stop, you pick up 6 men and 2 women. At the second stop, 2 men leave and 1 woman boards the bus. At the third stop, 1 man leaves and 2 women enter the bus. At the fourth stop, 3 men get out and 3 women get off. At the fifth stop, 2 men get off, 3 men get on. 1 woman gets off and 2 women get on. What is the bus driver's name? So I want you to think about that, okay? If you need to, replay what I just read to you. And the final question is what is the bus driver's name? So understanding, let's talk about that. Understanding means that you have the I can't even talk. Dave, I need your help with the word. I can't say it. Anyhow, thank you. Representation of the problem. Compartmental. There it is. I found my solution. Of the problem based on information provided and your own obviously experience. That's understanding of a problem. So we'll consider several topics related to this. The importance of paying attention, methods of representing the problem, situated cognition, which is a perspective that emphasizes the role of understanding a problem, which is the only way for you actually to solve it is to understand it. So let's talk about understanding the process. Dave, can you put up the picture that says understanding the process? You must decide which information is relevant in any situation that you are in. If you try to look at all of the information, you're going to go overcrowded and make life very difficult. Perfect. Leave this one here for a second. Another major challenge in understanding a problem is focusing on the appropriate part. Again, there's sometimes so much that you have to look at that you've got to find a way to break all of that down. So there are certain ways that we can do it. There's certain ways to problem solve. Let's go over a couple of them right now. Some people use symbols. Some people use matrices. Some people use diagrams. And some people actually use visual images to help solve problems. Examples of symbols: Algebra 101. Everyone remembers algebra, how you have to use n to represent certain numbers. It's a way for you to solve a problem. So symbols is one way. Then there's a matrix. So a matrix is a chart that shows all possible combinations of items. Sometimes you'll get these on, if you're looking at like doing a GRE or any type of standardized testing, they'll have things like this on there and they'll try to trick you. LSATs love these. So matrices are a good way to solve those type of problems. Then there is the hierarchical tree diagram. This is a figure that uses a tree-like structure to specify possible options in a problem. Okay, so this is another visual one you can use. Diagrams can represent complicated information in a very concrete form so that you have the mental space, so you're not thinking about all that stuff in your head, in working memory for problem-solving activities, okay? Visual images. This is another great way to help people solve problems. There's a story about the Buddhist monk. I won't go into that too much. It basically says that he went up the hill at one time and came back, and is it there a specific place that he crosses? The only way you can really see that is by looking at it visually. You can't see that any other way. You can't do it in your mind. It's not possible to do something like that in your mind. So notice that a visual image can let us escape from the boundaries of traditional concrete representation. Being able to look at it and see it can help you sometimes solve a problem, which is why people sometimes say if you have a problem, get the answers down. So there's a picture, Dave. It's called diagram problem solving that's there. If you pull that up for me, so they can kind of see how diagrams are also used. So let's take a look at situated cognition approach. This argues that we have an ability to solve a problem, and our ability to solve a problem is tied to the specific context in which we learned to solve the problem. Research on situated cognition demonstrates that ordinary people succeed in figuring out which brand of a particular product is actually cheaper in a grocery store, and they don't have to be mathematicians to do that. That is called situated cognition approach. So the concept in the situated cognition approach perspective is that we gather useful information from stimulus-rich settings in our everyday lives. And this information actually helps us understand a problem more quickly and more completely. So a really good way to also look at this is the big importance on internships for students. This is why they say it's really good for students to do internships and to volunteer, because it allows you to actually be in the situation and utilize the situation that things that you've learned from that initial situation in stuff outside that, like in the real world where you're actually making money. So that's a quick understanding of that. So before we go into our very first video, which I'm really excited about because I want to see how many people get some of these problems that they present solved. I only got 2 out of the 7. I'm only going to be showing you 4, I think. But I definitely want to say this. There's some exciting things happening at TCN. We actually have a store now. We have a shop. In our shop, we have coffee. We have beauty products. Yeah, pull that down for me. Thank you. We have coffee. We have, so oregano. I'm actually going to be doing an article on it in the Toronto Caribbean newspaper to give you guys, organo. What did I call it? Organo. Okay, sorry. They have a whole line of products that also includes beauty products and like face care treatment, lip balms, all those type of things. So this is exciting. This is new for TCN. We actually have products now that you can buy. Cool. We had a problem. I'm not going to talk about it because it ain't my business to talk. But Grant came up with a wonderful solution, and the solution is to start offering products to the community. Products that are good for you, natural, all those wonderful things. Anyhow, I'm going to end this segment with our very first riddle. I'm very excited to see what you guys come up with. Even though you're going to be getting the answer in the next segment, I still want to see if you can figure it out. All right, Dave, run the first one.
Hey, are you a fan of good old Agatha Christie novels? Or are modern works with elements of thriller more to your liking? It's time to test yourself. We're all familiar with typical IQ tests that rate your intelligence level after you've answered 40 standardized questions. But there are some other ways to find out what your inner genius can do. We found several riddles that only a few people can figure out. Do you feel brave enough to crack them? Then go ahead and test your detective skills with these riddles. After each riddle, you'll be given 15 seconds to find the answer. Here we go. Number 7. Jailbreak. Jack is placed in a cell with a dirt floor and only one window positioned so high no one could reach it. The cell is empty except for a shovel. It's hot and dry there, but Jack won't get any food or drink anytime soon. He has only 2 days to break out of the jail. If not, he'll die. We know what you have immediately thought, but no, digging a tunnel is not an option as it will take more than 2 days. So, how should Jack escape the cell? What's your guess? Don't forget, you can pause the video to have more time to think. All set? Here's the answer. Well, the way out for Jack turned out to be a piece. Set? Here's the answer. Well, the way out for Jack turned out to be a piece of cake. He had to use the shovel to make a pile of dirt under the window, climb on it, and escape from the cell. Seriously, who secures prisoners this way? Alright, number 6.
Wasn't that cool? I don't know. There's more. Listen, if you didn't like that one, I got like 3 more for you throughout the rest of the segment, so definitely stay tuned. We are talking today about problem solving. It's the one thing that is very important. Problem solving is why we have a lot of the innovations that we do right now. But there are a lot of people who do not know exactly what goes into problem solving, and they don't understand how problem solving works. They don't understand the logistics of problem solving, and this means that they're not really good problem solvers. So today I'm going to be going into problem solving. This segment, actually, we're going to be looking at problem solving strategies and some of the things that we may use. Sometimes we don't even realize we're using it because a lot of the time it does come automatically. But I'm going to bring to view some of the things that we do in order to problem solve. So Dave is going to work with me. As you can see, I'm by myself today because he left me out. He's actually behind the camera today. And he's going to help me out from back there with some information I'm going to put up so that it's easier for you guys to kind of understand, because this is a lot of information that I am giving you. So let's talk about algorithms. I hear that all the time, this word algorithm. So in psychology, algorithm is a method that will always produce a solution to the problem, although the process, although the process can sometimes be inefficient. So there is one thing that a lot of people do. It's called an exhaustive search, in which you try out all possible answers using a very specified system. So this is usually a system that's already been in place. So algorithms are often inefficient and very unsophisticated. They just don't work very well. That's why they call it an exhaustive search, because it's just exhaustive to use this type of procedure to problem solve, okay? So in problem solving, a heuristic, which is another word that comes up a lot. A heuristic is a strategy in which you ignore some alternatives and explore only those alternatives that are most likely to produce a solution. However, a heuristic does not guarantee that you will solve the problem correctly. So just because you use heuristics, it doesn't mean you're actually going to get the answer to your problem. So there's 2 different types of heuristics that we're going to talk about today. There's the hill climbing heuristic and the means end heuristic. So One of the most straightforward problem-solving strategies is called the hill climbing heuristic. So, with hill climbing heuristic, you simply select the alternative that seems to lead most directly to the goal state that you want. So, the hill climbing heuristic can be useful when you cannot discover sufficient information about some of the other alternatives that you have. So, you just use this one. It's very straight. The biggest drawback to this heuristic is that problem solvers must consistently choose the alternative that appears to lead most directly to their goal. In doing so, they may fail to choose a less direct alternative, which may have better long-term benefits. So an example of this is sometimes students will get right out of university and they want to earn a high-paying salary, so they go straight into a job instead of, which would be the other alternative, to stay in school a little bit longer and do their master's, maybe do their PhD, and put in a little bit more time, and then at the end, make more money. Sometimes people just think, you know what, graduation, money, done. I don't want to do school, but that's not always the best way. So that's called a hill climbing heuristic. Let's talk about means end heuristic. So the means end heuristic has two different components. First, you divide the problem into a number of subproblems or smaller problems, and then you try to reduce the difference between the initial state, and leave that there for a second, Dave, the initial state and the goal state for each of the problems. So means end heuristic is appropriate because it requires you to identify the ends you want and figure out what the means are to get to that end. So really good example, and this is why I have a stapler, so this is going to make sense. So a story that they used, or an example they used, was a young lady wore a dress to school, and the hem came out first thing in the morning. She had an appointment, she had a speech that she had to give in the evening, but she didn't want to look all dege with a little rip-up hem, so she ran into her teacher's office, got a stapler, and stapled her hem. That is considered a means end heuristic. Sometimes the correct solution to a problem depends on moving backward and temporarily increasing the difference between the initial state and the goal state. All right. See what else I got for you guys for this segment before we move on. The analogy approach. So I think I do have, leave this here for a second, Dave. So the analogy approach in problem solving, we use a solution to a similar earlier problem to help solve a new one. This is what a lot of people do. They'll use the same solutions for problems that come up. Now, problem isomorphs is used to refer to a set of problems that have the same underlying structures and solutions, but different specific details. So the major barrier to the analogy approach is that people tend to focus more on the superficial content of the problem than on its abstract underlying meaning. They pay more attention to the obvious surface features, the specific object and terms used in a question, and unfortunately, these problem solvers may fail to emphasize the structural features, the underlying core that must be understood in order to solve certain problems. So, when we do come back, we're going to take a look at some things that are helpful and some things that actually hinder problem solving. Let's take a look at another problem. So excited. I have a few for you. And I wish you guys luck on this one. So again, when you get the answer, if you get the answer, leave it in the comments. Let me know. Share this out with someone who you think will enjoy this. I hope this information is valuable to you. If it is, again, leave something in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, like MyTCNTV network, for all the great things that are happening here. All right, Dave, run our second problem.
Murder at school. On the first day of the school year, a geography teacher was murdered. The police had as many as 4 suspects. They were the gardener, the math teacher, the coach, and even the school principal. Yeah, I vote for the principal. Now, the sticking point was that they all had alibis. The gardener was cutting bushes, the math teacher was holding a mid-year test, the coach was playing basketball, the principal was in the office. Despite this, the killer was arrested immediately. Can you guess who killed the geography teacher and how the police solved the mystery? You have 15 seconds to find the killer.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
The killer was the math teacher. According to his own words, he was holding a mid-year test, but the crime happened on the first day of the school year. He needs to learn how to lie better, don't you think? Number 4.
Got it? Leave it in the comments below. That means you're a problem solver. That means you're good at this. You got that. If you have any riddles that you think would be pretty cool to put up there to see if people could solve, this would be cool to do that. This is a good time to do that as well. This segment. My problem is I can't speak. How am I going to solve that? We're going to figure it out. So this segment will be discussing what we can do to help ourselves solve problems, and also some of the hindrances that happen during problem solving. Very, very important. This one, I definitely think you guys should pay attention to this segment because I'm going to be giving you a lot of information. And again, I will be breaking it up with some photos and some diagrams to help kind of give some girth to this information, okay? Let's talk about bottom-up and top-down processing. So let's start first with bottom-up processing. Did I send you the eyes? There they are. All right, so bottom-up processing emphasizes the information about the stimulus as registered on your sensory receptors. Now, I only included the eyes, but that's just because we see a lot. For people who are blind, for example, and don't see, they would hear a lot, feel a lot. So anything that you're picking up from your 5 senses is how you solve problems. It's called bottom-up processing. It's how you process what's happening on the outside of you. Now, in contrast, top-down processing emphasizes, and this is, memories, yes. So top-down processing emphasizes our concepts, expectations, and memory, which we have acquired from past experiences. So this is how we process information that's already happened to us. That's top-down. So bottom-up is sensory, top-down is memories. These are things that have already happened to us and how we actually experience them. So how do great people get really good at solving certain problems? So one key thing is this big word. It's not really a big word. Expertise. So an expertise demonstrates consistently exceptional performance on representative tasks for one particular area. You know, they say that in order for you to really master something, I think you have to do it for, what are the hours here? 10,000 hours, which they say is about 10 years on one specific area, okay? Most cognitive psychologists specify that it takes at least 10 years of intense practice to gain expertise in any specific area. Now, how it helps? Knowledge base. Let's talk about that first. Novices and experts differ substantially in their knowledge and schemas. Memory. Experts differ from novices with respect to their memory for information related to the area of expertise. I use chess because chess is actually something, it doesn't matter how old you are, you can be an expert at it depending on how long you practice and obviously how much you know. Representation is another way that novices and experts kind of differ, as along with problem solving strategies. So when experts encounter a novel problem in their area of expertise, they are more likely than the novice to use the means and heuristic effectively. Does anyone remember what mean end is? So means end, again, is not just one direct route. It's breaking down a problem into separate subgroups in order to figure out the situation. So experts are more likely to use that as a way to solve a problem. Speed and accuracy. As you might expect, experts are much faster than novices at solving problems. Now, I want to talk about, and let's see here, Dave, I hope I got this one to you, parallel processing. I did. Leave this up here for a second because there's one that's going to come right after. Let's talk about parallel processing first. So parallel processing handles two or more items at the same time. This is the ability for the brain to handle two or more items at the exact same time. Now, serial processing, in contrast, can only handle one item at a time. Were you able to, I didn't send it to you, did I? The serial versus parallel processing. There it is. There's something so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. Parallel processing, serial processing, how we process novel situations. So there are some hindrances that I want to talk about with you guys today. And these I want you guys to really think about because these operate in our lives more than we think they do. Let's first talk about mental sets. So a mental set is when you keep trying the same solution that has been used in previous problems, even though the problem could be solved by a different, easier method. But you have in your mind, yeah, let's look at this cartoon. This is a great example of mental set. A mental set is like a mental rut that prevents us from carefully thinking about a problem and solving it effectively. So it's being stuck. And this can happen a lot. This happens a lot with people when they've been staring at one problem for so long because you're used to solving it a certain way, you get stuck in that certain way of solving it, and then nothing gets solved. So what does Albert Einstein say? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That's a mental set, okay? Now the term mindfulness, let's start with mindlessness. Mindlessness refers to a kind of automatic thinking in which we are entrapped in old categories without being aware of the new information that's available in the environment. In mindlessness, we look at a problem from only one point of view. Think about that. How many times have you been mindlessly staring at something, trying to get it solved and can't change it because you're only looking at it from one point of view? And then we have mindfulness, which is the opposite. And this is when we create a new category. We are eager to learn new information, and we are willing to look at the world from different points of view. Another concept that is very aligned with this one is called functional fixedness. So like a mental set, functional fixedness occurs when our top-down processing is overactive. We rely too heavily on our previous concepts, expectations, and memory. Functional fixedness means that the functions or uses we assign to objects tend to remain fixed or stable. And as a result, we fail to look at features of a stimulus that might be useful to help us solve a problem. So to overcome functional fixedness, we need to think flexibly about new ways that an object can be used. So one study that's a classic, and I have a picture for this, I believe, is the candle, matchstick, and thumbtack test. So this is actually called the Dunker's candle problem, okay? And I want you to keep this up here, Dave, because I want people to be using no other objects than those on the table. In fact, I'm going to leave that one there because I want you guys to actually think about this one. How is that possible? If you get the answer, I think I have a picture of the answer, but I'm not going to put it up. I want to hear what the viewers have to say. How can you do that? How can you make this candle burn properly using those 3 items? Remember, don't think functional fixes will keep you where you can only use the items for what they are. There's other ways you can use these items to get to do this properly. So think about it. So let's talk about stereotypes and problem solving a little bit. We can come off of this one now. Hope everyone got that. So far we've examined 2 situations in which top-down processing is overactive. Mental sets and functional fixedness. So in this third situation, however, our top-down processing may be overactive because of our beliefs about our abilities based on stereotypes. So let's talk about stereotype threat. We don't have too much time, so I'm just going to speak about this very, very quickly. Stereotype threat is if you belong to a group that is hampered by a negative stereotype and you think about your membership in that group, and then, of course, because you think about it, your performance may suffer. Why should stereotype threat lead to poor performance? So there's 2 factors that contribute to the problem. One factor is that the stereotype threat probably produces an arousal, especially because other research reported elevated blood pressure when people experience a threat or going through it. So this tends to happen a lot with Black students. So they perform more poorly when their ethnicity is emphasized. So think about that. Think about how that might even be happening in some of our schools. This is real. This is happening with our students. I want to, you know what? I'm going to save these. I have a problem, actually. We're going to go into insight problems, so insight versus non-insight. But I'm going to save it to the next segment because the next segment's not too long. We talk about creativity as well. So this might be a good way to tie it in there. How about we go into our next problem? I'm very excited. Let's see if you guys get this one.
A lonely old man lived in his house in the suburbs of a city. He led a quiet life. Perhaps he was a homebody, as he never left his dwelling for long. It was a midsummer Friday when the mailman walked by and called out for the man. There was no answer coming from inside the house. The mailman looked into the window and, oh no, saw the man in a pool of blood. When the policeman arrived, he found Tuesday's newspaper, 2 bottles of warm milk, and 1 bottle of cold milk. The next day, the killer was arrested. Do you know how the police found out who it was so quickly? What is your idea? Five seconds remaining. Can you see the answer? It was obviously...
Yo, this is Conscience and you're watching MyTCNTV network. Peace.
My name is Trish Curling, and I am an online coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher, and your new host of Shaping Life, which is all about understanding that we have the ability and the control to take charge of our health and wellness. But we can't do it alone, and I can't wait to sit down with the best in the industry. Please tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. live here on the TCN Network.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
It was obviously the mailman. He knew that no one in that house would read a newspaper on Wednesday or Thursday. That's why he came only on Friday. Number 3.
You are obviously watching Here to Help You, and today we're talking problem solving. And what I've done is I've provided a psychological look at problem solving, how we look at problems, how we analyze problems, how problems look to us, and how you may be handling them without even realizing it. So in our last segment, we looked at functional fixedness and mental sets, how we can get stuck in a rigid way of thinking. And now we're going to look at some insight problems. So I'm going to read another problem out to you. I read one to you earlier. I'm going to read another problem out to you. I read it to the people in the office, and they bombed this one. The only person who got this one was me. I hope you guys do better. So it's called the Sahara problem. Can we put up the picture so that people can get an idea and get into the mood for the Sahara problem? So suppose that you're driving a Jeep through the Sahara Desert. So that's you. Okay, you just parked a Jeep. You see someone laying face down in the sand. Exploring further, you see that it's a dead man. You see no tracks anywhere nearby other than your own, and there have been no recent winds to erase the tracks. You look in a pack on the man's back. What do you find? Okay, you can come back to me now. I got the answer instantly. That's called insight. Okay? So when you solve an insightful problem, the problem initially seems impossible to solve. This one was easy for me. But an alternative approach suddenly bursts into your consciousness and you immediately realize that your new solution is correct. The type of things I got, I heard, oh, he has water in his pack. He has a t-shirt. That was Dave's guess. There's a t-shirt. No one got this one. I'm wondering how many of you are going to actually get the Sahara problem. I hope you guys do. So, non-insight problems, you solve the problem gradually using your memory, reasoning skills, and a routine set of procedures. So there's the insight where it's like, boom, I got it right away. Some of the people may have to break this down and do a means end heuristic or something to get to there. Remember what a means end heuristic is? You guys remember? Back to the beginning, very first segment, we talk about it. To solve an insight problem correctly, you may need to take a break, and this is something people always tell you. If you're trying to solve a problem, it's always good to take a break from the problem, step away from it, and to come back with fresh eyes, or have someone join you, because sometimes other people will see things that you may not necessarily see. In addition, the research on insight problems shows that it's not helpful to talk to yourself while working on the problem. You know, people I know who do that. They'll try to talk their way through a problem. Let it go. Step away until you get that insight, because sometimes it comes when you step away. So that's hindrances. That was the last bit for my last segment. Now we're going to end with the ultimate source of, problem-solving skills, which is creativity. So creativity requires finding solutions that are novel, high quality, and very useful. Divergent production, or the number of varied responses made to a test item. That's what divergent. When I tell you about divergent thinking, it's thinking multiply about something. It's not one-way thinking, okay? So there are some divergent production tests. I don't have any of them to put up. My computer stopped working. That was my problem today. And I didn't know how to solve it. I just got irritated. Couldn't have time. Here's one for you guys to try. Many words begin with L and end with an N. In 1 minute, I want you guys to list as many words as possible that form L blank N. The words can have any numbers and length. Okay, 1 minute, starting now. Pause the video and try this test out. Okay, that's an idea of creativity because there's so many I can think of. Dave, you have any? Starts with learn. There's one. Do you have another one? Very good. Lean is another one. Good job, Dave. Any more? Nope, that's it. See? Not very creative, Dave. Okay, don't worry. I came up with like 7. I did them before. I did this test already before it came on. So something else about creativity that people don't understand is that people can be intrinsically motivated and extrinsically motivated. Let's talk about what those both are. So intrinsic motivation is when you really want to do something, when you really want to create, when you really want to do something, it comes from the inside. That says to be the most powerful creative source is when you really want to do it. What a lot of leaders, bosses, organization heads, CEOs don't realize is money is not as much of a motivator as you think it is. Extrinsic motivation is, let's read about what it says here. Extrinsic motivation is motivation to work on a task, not because you find it enjoyable, but in order to earn a promised reward or to win some type of competition. It's okay, but it's not enough all the time. Intrinsic motivation is always the best way to get the best creativity out of someone. This is why they say, do what you love. If you don't do what you love, you're going to hate it eventually. It doesn't matter what they're paying you. You're still not going to like it. So let's talk about incubation and what that is. So incubation is defined as a situation in which you are initially successful in solving a problem, but you are more likely to solve the problem after taking a break. Remember we were talking about during Insight? It's always good for you to take a break when you have to deal with problems. The more you stare at a problem, the least likely you're going to probably solve it. So it's something for you guys to think about. Even in relationships, sometimes if you're hammering out and talking about the same problem over and over again, the best thing to do when they're saying, oh, you shouldn't go to bed angry. Okay, yeah, you probably shouldn't go to bed angry, but if you have a problem that you've been talking about for 3 hours and it's still not solved, step away. Leave the problem alone. I guarantee the next day when the emotions have come down, everyone can deal with problems better. So that's pretty much what I have to say about creativity. There's one more thing I can say. Less creative if someone's watching. Oh, that's right. You're actually less creative if someone is watching you do something. If someone's not watching you, you don't feel as, I guess, like restricted as if someone's staring down the back of your neck when you're trying to create. This is why creatives like isolation. This is exactly why creatives isolate themselves, because it's the best way to be creative. I can speak because I'm a creative, and I work better, honestly, when I'm at home by myself. That's when I can write. That's when I can ever get everything done, because I don't feel like people are there and disturbing my creativity time. So today, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys really got some value from this. We have one more. I'm going to treat you guys with one more of these problems for you guys to solve. This one's going to go from beginning to end. Definitely, guys, put in the comments what you thought about the show, if you found it useful, if you learned something about the way that you think and the way that you solve problems. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment box. Again, I'm asking you guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to MyTCNTV network. Guys, thank you for hanging out with me on here to help you. You guys have a wonderful week. We are going to be followed by What Matters. There's going to be some men on today talking about some interesting topics, so I'm very excited about that. But let's end with our last, I guess you can say, problem of the day. All right, guys, have a wonderful Tuesday. See you next week.
Serial killer had a particular practice going. He kidnapped people and made them take one of 2 pills. One was harmless, the other was poisonous. Whichever pill a victim took, the serial killer took the other one. Then the scheme repeated itself continuously. Victims took their pills with water and died. The killer repeatedly survived. How did he always get the harmless pill? Good luck, your time has started. Here's the answer. The serial killer was tricking people. The poison was in the glass of water his victims drank, not in the pill. Oh, that stinks. So unfair. Anyway, number 2. Frozen.